Very difficult time for Wexford hurling at the moment. I'm delighted to say Liam Griffin is with us. Liam, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. What's your level of concern about Wexford hurling at the moment?
Yeah, great concern, because for the simple reason we're not doing well, and at senior level now it's a bit of contradiction, because we've started to do really well at under 20. We're the only county that's been in the last two Leinster finals in under 20 hurling, losing to Kenny by a point last year, who went on to win the All-Ireland, and then losing to Offaly this year. Two good teams, by the way, that we lost to. And but the problem is that it's exactly the wrong time for the senior team to be faltering, because we need to get the point of entry at the top level, because that's important for young players being developed if we want to stay at the top. Because Rory O'Connor and these who came on first a few years ago, they've been at the top level. So we really need to be at the top level, and considering that under 20 squads, of two squads that have got to that Leinster final, we need to be there for their further development and for the development of Wexford hurling. So it's a dangerous time at the moment in case we are relegated. That would be a big blow to the county, especially at the underage level.
It seems like it's also come from left field in many ways. Like, the circumstances of the 17-point lead against Westmeath, but it also feels like there's been an injury crisis this year, and that's look, maybe I'm wrong, right? But I understand there's talk about the team not being as well conditioned as they need to be. Their second half performance has been consistently poor, but at the same time, I definitely felt like they had a really progressive young manager who was, rising to the peak of his powers. So I don't know, what's your instinct about? Is it just a weird sequence of events, or is there something more fundamental at issue?
No, it's a weird set of events. But also, allied to that, we've lost Paddy Foley to Australia, and Paddy Foley was centre back, and he was a brilliant player. And last year we beat Kilkenny in Nolan Park in the championship for the first time in our history, actually beating them in Nolan Park. The nearest we got was back in 1951 or something, to beat them in Nolan Park. So he was gone. We lost Damien Rick. Lee Chin has been injured for a year and a half, and I don't know what the story is with him. He's not at full pelt, and we need him at full pelt. We've also Liam Ryan picked up a bad injury, so we have had a serious amount of injuries. But having said that, we were walloping Westmeath at half time. We were doing the same with Antrim. Now that's been forgotten about. That's just actually been forgotten about by those who wouldn't be looking closely at Wexford hurling, because with about 4 minutes to go in the Antrim game, we were very well in front in the Antrim game, but it came, I think, to about 4 minutes to go, or maybe slightly less. Antrim had us got back to 4 points, and only for James Murray made a good save on the goal. We would have been a point behind. They would have been a point behind with about 2 minutes to go, I think, or thereabouts. And I believe that momentum would have carried them over as well. So we were in mortal danger. So what's wrong? Why is this happening? Well, we played excellent against Antrim in the first half, really, really good. We played really, really good against Westmeath, and then in the second half in both games we failed, and we went backwards. But the team just didn't respond in the second half. And you know yourselves from sport, when the tide starts to come in on you in a match, it's bloody hard to get it out. So you could see when Westmeath started to play really, really well. And one good thing about the Westmeath thing that I would be very happy about from Westmeath's sake is that they're making good progress, and it's good to see that. And we can't take from their victory. It was a great victory for them. But the one thing they started doing was playing direct hurling. And I'm looking at the papers last week, 25 points for Tipperary, 25 points, for Limerick, and you're looking at all of the 20 points, and some of that stuff is totally boring. Not that those matches were boring, I'm not suggesting they were, but with all these points and so forth. But going direct seems to be gone out the window sometimes. It's all through the lines, and that's not necessarily the best idea. So Westmeath showed a way that you can win a match from behind by going direct and picking up every man in the place, and they deserve to win. So we are now in a crisis mode.
Is it concerning as well, Liam, that there just seems to be no learning from one game to the next? Like even that Galway defeat, there was a lot of criticism about the persistent use of a sweeper and some of the tactics, especially in the second half. Then, of course, the Dublin game, a lot of wides for Wexford in that one. Even the win over Antrim that you mentioned, like they still conceded 125. So game to game, there just seem to be persistent issues that keep cropping up.
Yeah, there are. And the other thing too is we missed 2 penalties in the championship so far. We missed a penalty the last day, and we missed a penalty in a previous game. So, yeah, those fundamentals and shooting, 19 wides, I think, against Dublin, and we've had wides. So that's true. But at the end of the day, I still think that the team, the basis of that team, is still very good. But at this time, I think we really do need to throw off the shackles and really hurl against Kilkenny. Now, we beat Kilkenny in Nolan Park last year in a terrific game. So we have them now in our own pitch. We have them down in Wexford Park. So I know the players are probably a bit fragile at this moment because of what's happened. But there's no reason why, if we don't hurl our living best and play a good game plan. And if we can do that, I think we have a good chance of beating Kilkenny. But if we don't knuckle down for the whole time, be brave, take it on, and make sure we're doing it for every minute of the game. I think that gives us a good chance. I really do think we have a good chance if they click on that in that way. And I think they're quite capable of doing that. They did it in the first half, in the last 2 games, and if they could keep that momentum up, so that's surely not too big an ask. But I think complacency sets in when you're playing teams that are considered to be lower division than you. You actually start to, just amble along at times, and it's very hard to get going. But Kilkenny, hopefully, to get going for it, and I think they will.
I think the lads in the hurling pod this week as well with ourselves, Liam, we're talking about Kilkenny maybe taking the game more seriously than people possibly think. The prospect of sending Wexford down might be a bit of motivation for some of those Kilkenny players. Do you expect that they will take that game seriously?
Oh, absolutely. And I wouldn't want them to do that, Nels. This is sport. You don't give fellas favours. You've got to earn your right to win the games. You've got to earn it, and I hope to come with their full game, because and I hope that we have our full game. I wouldn't want to be dependent on somebody else just coasting in the game. But I don't think Kilkenny will do that. I don't think they've ever done it, and fair dues to them. So that's it. Bring it on, and Wexford should stand up and be counted, and hopefully that they will be stand up and be counted, because they have done it last year. That's the go-to game to look at. We did it, and we did it well, and so why not? So it's in the lap of the gods, but it's not mostly. It's in the lap of the players to give us 100%. They showed it in the last games. They can do it. So for a half an hour, for a half a game. So why not now? This is when Wexford needs them, and I think they've got to forget about everything else. Only this is a game for Wexford, and it's a very, very important game for Wexford, and whatever issues you have or whatever, leave them behind, or if management and players, whatever, with working together, I don't know, I'm not sure. But listen, give it everything, be brave and go for it, and give us a good game of hurling, and let's see what happens. And I think we can do it.
Over the last 5 or 6 years, it has always felt a little bit like the county board in Wexford were progressive and trying to make the right decisions about stuff. And look, there's difficulties in a county that is a dual county essentially, where football is taken very seriously at club level. And I know there's a bit of residual controversy about the speed at which the championships are run off. So it's one championship run off full, and then the other one runs off, and that was a decision that the clubs made. Is that the best thing for the inter-county senior hurling team?
Yes, it is. It is and it isn't, because it is the best in our circumstances. I'm in favour of both hurling and football, and but there's no mercy for being dual counties all over. There is no system that's going to help to make it better, because unless we have a split season, and that split season is there. Now, we were playing hurling one week, football the next week, previous to this. So therefore, for football, you were training by playing hurling, and for hurling, you were training by playing football. So every second thing, that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. They're two totally different games. So that split was done, so that played hurling first and then played the football second. Now, we are a pure dual county, and there is no reward for being a dual county. There's actually no reward for being a dual county anywhere across the way, because it impinges with everything in terms of the amount of time you have on the field, and the amount of practice and all sorts that you get. And there's also tension between hurling and football with some non-progressive people that seem to think they are progressive. Instead of finding a way, they just keep looking from one to the other on occasions. And that's part of being a dual county. But I think from our perspective, I think that the championship itself has to be run off like that, unfortunately. But we have too many games in certain areas of even at inter-county level. There's some meaningless games being played, and we need to look at the entire. Look at the GAA needs to look at itself from the top to the very bottom, from annual congress and all the way the way the games are being run. That's just my opinion. I think there's an unbelievable amount of work that we should do and have to do, because don't forget, the RSI report showed that the big dropout in Gaelic football and in hurling over the years. That was out in 2013. I would say that's become probably worse. 70% dropout in Gaelic football at club level, and a 60% dropout in hurling at club level. That's a crisis, and it hasn't been fully addressed. But we're still maybe muddling a bit too much in relation to how we're trying to create the inter-county game or the new reality to deal with that. So we've a lot of work to do to make it smoother for everybody. But in the middle of all that, you've got a dual county dealing with all the complications, and that certainly is a negative influence.
All right, we'll leave it there for now, Liam. Best of luck this weekend. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.